Too many mistakes, but he has a chance now to rectify all of that. We have got an e-pawn opening. We've got a Spanish on the board, bishop a4, knight f6, castles. Knight takes e4, an open Spanish by Abdusattorov, d4, b5, bishop b3, d5, the main line. Pawn takes pawn, bishop e6, been played many times before. Which system will Jan choose? He chooses the main line, knight bd2, knight c5, c3, and bishop e7, all been played, bishop c2, d4, knight to b3, and d takes c3. This is absolutely the main line. d3 used to be a move there, but now they're playing d takes c3 a lot more. Okay, takes on c5, bishop takes c5, bishop e4, queen d7. In fact, I think Abdusattorov already had this position in this tournament. H6 takes on g5, and I think it's rook a d1 and knight to b4. Abdusattorov absolutely prepared to the gills. Bishop takes f2. What is going on? He's just playing so fast. Goodness, rook h5, this is all in his notes. Knight f3, queen a7. This is modern chess, guys. I mean, he's not even thinking. This is, no, why think when this is on your computer at home? Queen a7 offering the queen trade. And he should. Rook c1, knight e7, again playing instantaneously. Yep. And clearly he's done work on this position and believes it's just okay for black. Pawn to b3 looks very sensible, and the first time Abdusattorov pauses. Now, I have to say, even though he was playing quickly, I'm not that impressed with his position. It's clear that white, if anybody's better, he's got the backwards pawn on c6 to deal with. White has got a wonderful bishop in the middle of the board. And rook h5. Sorry, I beg your pardon. b3 played by Nepomniachtchi, and
yeah, a2 pawn was hanging, and in some lines maybe black white doesn't want to give that pawn. So b3 is kind of a waiting move as well, and waiting for black for the next decisions. How about bishop d5? Maybe he's considering this move. This is the first time he actually started to think with black pieces. He has to make a choice.
Bishop d5, I think, loses a pawn. I can take on a7, take on d5. Well, then you would have to go c takes d5, but that's very ugly. And knight takes d5, rook takes c6 is the problem. So I don't think you can play bishop d5. The question is, what do you do? Okay, he went bishop d5. Doesn't this lose a pawn? What am I missing? If I take on a7, take on d5, I have no idea what the computer hated it. What is this move? Take on a7. He takes straight away on d5. Also
possible, because you can take with a knight. Same happens, and you have to take with a pawn.
Oh wow, he's just completely. I hate this move. I mean, this move for me is just...
Thank you very much.
No, I'm sorry, Katie, but after c takes d5, he's decided to go into this position, but this looks extremely ugly for black. I mean, okay, it's not over, but it looks ugly. h4 looks like a very good move to my eyes. Just rook h6, okay. Coming back, improving the rook.
He wants to play rook c6 next move. Maybe in the end game he has more chances to hold.
And now you can play g4. This is very nice flowing chess, and it's just obvious white is a lot better here, because the d pawn is weaker than the e pawn. I have control of the c file. Let's see how resilient Abdusattorov is. Rook d7. Okay. Now king e3 comes to mind as the most natural move, centralizing the king. Maybe putting the king on f4, using it as a support piece. Doesn't do it. He plays rook e1, which is a very strange move to my eyes. Don't understand this move at all. d4.
It's against rook c6, because he wanted to push e6 at that point. After rook c6. d4, and now rook d1, maybe.
h5. Okay, limiting the rook. but I'm not in love with this passage of play by Jan. I don't love it. Rook c6.
6 was played.
Rook c6, but now your idea might...
Take and e6 is something that
And rook e7.
might...
And then, yeah. But maybe you can just take g5 and create an outside passed pawn. Maybe you can just take g5 and play like a bit like these Berlins.
Mm-hmm.
He does take. And he does go with e6, your idea, but I didn't think that this was so dominating, but maybe it is. If I go rook e7?
In that case, maybe just capture and give a check. We'll see. Yeah, f7.
He went rook d6.
d6. And it takes up, king takes f, knight g5 is a check, but then knight e4
Knight
maybe.
g5. Yeah, so the rook is a bit clumsy on d6 because now you can't play king f6, you have to go king f8. But still, it's not clear to me that white is...
Yeah, white already has a perpetual. I think knight h7, knight g5 is possible. If king goes on g8, then it will be in mating threat. But Jan doesn't want that. He has better structure now.
But I'm not sure I believe that this is winning, to be honest, because I can start to harass the queenside pawns, and there are so many examples where there's an exchange, a liquidation here, and then you have 2 versus 1 on the king side, and it's a draw.
I think they are just warming up with the first game, and they're not going to end this game.
I don't think so. I think Jan is just going to be really disappointed that he didn't win this, because he had a wonderful position. But okay, this is just not a big deal. Knight c7.
King f6.
Yeah, and he's just going after the pawns, getting the king active.
Oh, wow.
I don't mind
And
this
knight
at all.
c7, b4 now. Pawn is hanging on b5.
Knight c7, okay. I don't know if you want to take on g4 here. You probably do. You probably want to take on g4 and take on h5 and pray that the 2 separated pawns, yeah, and that's what he's going to do. Take on b5. I guess he's going to take on h5 here. Yes. Very unusual endgame. 2 pawns against 2 pawns, 2 connected pawns against 2 separated pawns, but the point is that the black pawns are very quick in getting to go, so just g5 here makes a lot of sense. And the knight on c6 blocks
Both pawns coming b4, and then a4, a5 is also blocked, so white has to go with a3, b4, which is quite slow.
He's bringing the king. This is excellent technique, actually.
Wow.
This is the way to play. Bring the king towards
This guy
the
is
queen.
very dangerous.
Well, he's just very good.
Yes.
And now he can sacrifice the knight for the 2 pawns if he ever wants. Knight c4 check, king d5, this is knight b6. Okay, just king anywhere. King e4, b5,
King
knight
e4,
a5.
yeah.
Jan has to be a little bit careful. He can lose the thread here a little bit. d3? What's going on now? Hold on, the pawn is being pushed, and there are no checks. Knight c5, king d4. He just decides to take the pawn and go for a draw like this, and he's going to go king f3. Yeah, and he's making
It's
a
the
draw.
right moment to make a draw, because it could get really late for Jan if he allowed black to push the pawn a little bit.
Yeah, and there's no way to get back to defend that pawn on g7.
Yeah.
And the knight is too far away and has to take look after those pawns. Yeah, and I just think we're going to get king c5 and knight takes a3. Yeah, and that's going to be a draw. Knight a3, king g7, and a draw.
The first game ended in a draw, and the handshake we had here. So quite interesting.